ESPN has a serious problem. The worldwide leader in woke has created a monster. And this is the worst kind of problem because of the level of delusion that's involved. Elle Duncan is a supporting cast member who thinks she's a superstar. Elle Duncan is an employee who thinks she's the boss. If Stephen A. Smith had repeated that same joke during the NBA All-Star Game, he probably would have been suspended. Hell, Stephen A. Smith was suspended a few years ago for saying that Shohei Ohtani couldn't be the face of Major League Baseball because he's not fluent in English. ESPN fired Sage Steele for criticizing their COVID mandate and for making a joke about Barack Obama. They fired Sam Ponder for supporting women who prefer not to have various sizes of dong swinging around in their locker room. Ashley Brewer, she was chastised by management at ESPN for posting a picture on Instagram with a Republican congressman. If she had made the same joke, or if a dude made a joke about the lack of D in the WNBA, which, by the way, there are some who would refute Elle Duncan's claim that there's a lack of D in the WNBA, but either way, if a dude or if Ashley Brewer made the same joke, it would not be tolerated by ESPN. But when Elle Duncan does it, it's perfectly fine because I'm just a girl. According to Elle Duncan, this should not be a problem because she has been making jokes like this at ESPN for over 10 years. And because she is a woman and men supposedly like women who are crass. But here's the problem. Now, me personally, I didn't really have an issue with this. I'm sure some parents of young children found it to be inappropriate. But the problem is, Elle Duncan admitted that she has been doing this on ESPN for 10 years. And she's the only one at ESPN that seems to be allowed to get away with it. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. Supposedly, there is a no politics policy at ESPN. On-air talent are not allowed to discuss political and social issues. In the last 3 or 4 years, Elle Duncan has interrupted coverage of the women's tournament in college basketball to hold a moment of silence to protest the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida. She dedicated an entire segment of SportsCenter to lecturing men on the importance of abortion, even though 100% of the men watching will never have an abortion. She questioned the blackness of Sage Steele. She publicly praised Jamel Hill when Smelly Jameli accused management at ESPN of mythical racism. Just to be clear, these are just a few examples. More recently, Elle Duncan has violated the woke commandments by committing an act of black-on-black crime. She complained to management about Malika Andrews because they had the audacity to give Malika Andrews the opportunity to cover WNBA games. Basically, Elle Duncan is the worst kind of diva. She is a delusional diva. She's constantly complaining. She's constantly making demands. She pretends she is a star. She pretends she is important. She pretends to add value. When the reality is, Elle Duncan has no impact on ratings. No one is tuning into ESPN to listen to the worthless opinion of Elle Duncan. How do I know that? Because she used to have a podcast on ESPN's YouTube channel, which has over 13 million subscribers. Every episode was sent to 13 million people. Elle Duncan couldn't draw flies to a fresh turd. How does Elle Duncan still have a job? Look, I don't push for people to get fired, but according to ESPN's own policies, Elle Duncan should have been fired years ago. Instead, she complains that Malika Andrews is getting more WNBA games that Elle Duncan believes should have been given to her. And what does ESPN do? They reward her with some doofus show called Vibe Check. A show that, like her podcast, no one is watching. I just don't understand it. I understand ESPN tolerating shit from Stephen A. Smith. I understand ESPN tolerating some of the trouble that's caused by Pat McAfee. They draw ratings. Sponsors pay to advertise on their programs. More importantly, they provide value. What value does Elle Duncan provide? Now, in her defense, when she's not lecturing dudes on abortion, Elle Duncan is a talented host. She's energetic, she's enthusiastic, but there are thousands of Elle Duncans. There's one Stephen A. Smith. There's one Pat McAfee. If either one of them left the network, it could take years for ESPN to find a suitable replacement. ESPN could replace Elle Duncan tomorrow. So why do they continue to tolerate her shit? From what I have been told, Elle Duncan is an absolute nightmare behind the scenes. So why does ESPN continue to tolerate it? My guess is they know if they release Elle Duncan, she will accuse them of mythical racism or make-believe misogyny, toxic masculinity. Hell, knowing Elle Duncan, she might accuse them of all three. That's the only thing I can think of. Fear of the backlash, the accusations. But you give me a reason. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.